Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Krashy, and today we're going to be diving into an updated tier list. Now, it's actually been a while since we've done one of these, and I'm not going to lie, I forget the patch version, so you'll know it because it'll be in the title, but I don't remember. That said, let's go ahead and dive into it. I think I've gotten some pretty good playtime on this patch. Actually, probably took me way too long to get into this tier list, but I want to go ahead and share my thoughts with you. So let's start off with some of the heavy hitters. I think the two most obvious choices for S tier are Sevarog and Decker. I think these are absolutely the high-end outliers. Sevarog now being giga buffed in the jungle, he just was already super strong, insanely strong offlaner, insanely strong jungler. He's a tank, so Sevarog had kind of fallen behind in the tank department for a little while there. And Sevarog is just really strong. I mean, this character does a ton of damage, incredibly tanky, crazy scaling. It's just good, man. It is what it is. It's super good. Kind of keep it brief. And then Decker, ever since they kind of sped up her right mouse button ball stun, they've walked her back a little bit, but she's just incredibly reliable. She's super CC heavy. She's like an enchanter. Is that what they call them? Enchanter support. So she's safe in the lane because she's not just a melee support. And ultimately, she's just incredibly strong. I don't think those are going to be the only ones that I put in S tier. I'll probably put more, but maybe I don't know. I might just leave it for them and then use A plus since I have it structured in that way for some of the other strong heroes. So yeah, really strong. And speaking of really strong, I want to talk about Chimera. I think Chimera is in the best state that Chimera has ever been. You could probably play him off lane pretty decently. I mean, I've definitely seen people do it, but we're mostly talking jungle here. This thing's just an animal now. The increased healing kind of build that you can make for him, it reminds me of the old school Draconum Raiment build, but now it's just Draconum and Void Helm. And Overlord is a huge bruisery tank item. You can get a lot of power out of that item, increases your clear speed. So Kai does a lot of damage. He doesn't do hero on hit damage anymore, but he just does a lot of damage, brings a lot of power. And yeah, he's just super tanky. Now the tank crests all they got reworked and buffed. So I think the kind of bruiser crests are not really the way to go a lot of the time for a lot of these heroes now. So Kai with near war boots or Razorback is just super tanky, can do a lot of damage, is not easy to kill, can heal himself, is very self-sufficient. It's really good for objectives because as a tank, he's also healing himself. It's just a really strong jungler, maybe one of the best junglers in the game right now. I think Sevarog's holding that S tier position, not necessarily in the jungle role, but just because Sevarog is incredibly strong. But Chimera is really powerful, and definitely feeling the effects of that. All right, let's talk about somebody that I don't think is super great. I'm not sure where to put them per se, is Shinbi. I think that Shinbi is feeling she's still good, but she doesn't feel super strong to me. And I'm not exactly sure how low I want to put her because I also have to make it relative to the other heroes. So I may end up shifting her around, but I want to mess with the tier list a little bit. Shinbi lost her primary bruiser Shinbi build, where you could kind of build her tanky with Worldbreaker because Worldbreaker brought you a lot of power, and then you could go into some damage items if you wanted to. You can't really do that anymore. I think you have to play her a little bit more damage, so her staying power in a fight is a little bit lessened, but now she's leaning more into that assassin role. So Worldbreaker saw a pretty substantial change where it was bonus HP and not max HP. It gives you your magic power scaling, so Shinbi can't really take advantage of that as well, right? As well, you can still do HP focused magic items, and I think that that's probably how you build her, maybe with a Mega Cosm on top or something. But yeah, she's not feeling as strong as she used to be. Part of me wants to put her conservatively in C, but I may bring her up a little bit, and we'll just have to see. Now, with the carries, I'm not a carry player. I don't actually play carry at all, but I do have some opinions. I think Murdoch and Drongo are really standing out the most to me. Murdoch got a huge change to his E, the sim, where, it's this massive mobility and he can just chase down kills. He's got his snipe. I just think Murdoch feels incredibly consistent, and the same thing goes for Drongo for the same reasons that Drongo has always basically been, or not always, but as of late, many patches has been the best carry in the game. He's super consistent. He's got self peel, he has a slow, he has his grenade, which is a silence. It's super annoying to deal with for so many heroes. And then he's got, like I said, that ultimate is his own version of self peel where he can kind of get himself out of a tough situation. So I definitely think that these carries are like the best to me, and I would probably put just like every other carry at A tier. I could maybe differentiate Sparrow a little bit lower, and I'm not even sure that's accurate. I just don't think that she gets played like nearly as much as the other carries, and I'm not really sure because I haven't been watching too much competitive, but this is probably my thought. I'll probably just be conservative and put her in A tier with the rest. I think that the carries are kind of, you know, niched out in a position where it's like the two best carries and then the rest of them, and I think the rest of them are all still really good, which is why I would never put a carry hero unless they were just actually trash, like literally useless, probably lower than A tier, because they're just all so strong. They're all going to scale and do amazing things. All right, who can we talk about next? Let's talk about Crunch. Crunch feels like he's falling behind a little bit. I think that he's like a solid B tier. He feels like he can get some work done much better in the off lane, I think, than in the jungle now, because mainly just because of lane matchups. So you can probably get some work done on Crunch in the off lane, and that's probably your win condition, is to like win your lane matchup, hopefully, if you can. But I don't feel super great on him in the jungle lately. I don't feel super great on him in the meta lately. It doesn't feel like he has that same, you know, really scary and dominant presence that he used to have. And he just gets shut down by CC and silence, and there's a plenty. So I don't know, not too keen on Crunch lately. I know some people will probably disagree with this one, but he feels solid. He feels okay. He just doesn't feel like he's at the top of his game like he used to be. Let's touch on a couple of supports. I think that FaZe is feeling super strong to me, and I can't quite tell if she's feeling like A+ strong to me or A strong. I think probably just A strong. She feels really solid. She brings a ton of heals to the table, and then she's got that get out of jail free card with the pull. But ultimately, she doesn't have a lot of presence for herself, right? She doesn't have a lot of wave clear. You can't use her to go, you know, clear a wave or to set a lane. Really, it's like she's just the true support, right? She stands next to you, and she helps you get shit done. But she feels good. She feels good to me. I feel pretty comfortable having her on a team, and I like playing her, even though I don't play her often. She's a really fun support. I think she's pretty solid. Let's go on ahead and touch on probably a couple more supports. I think Bellica still feels like a very strong support, and maybe even Richter. I'm not exactly sure just for the support role, but I still think Richter jungle is pretty solid. So I think A+ because of the team fight that Richter can bring. So the funny thing, let me touch on Bellica really quickly. Really dominant support and a really strong mid. She just has that dual role, which definitely bumps her up, depending on whichever one she kind of feels stronger in the meta. I think she's still a really solid mid. Can't say much about it. In support, she's really annoying to play into. You know, her CC, the damage that she brings, it's really annoying to play into. And for Richter, same thing, whether it's like jungle or support, he scales into team fights amazingly. I think that Richter's kit has one of those kits that's just, it's valuable, right? I don't exactly know where he goes in like a pick ban draft right now, because I haven't been playing or watching much competitive, but I think he feels really strong, and I definitely am pretty comfortable having him all the way up here with some of the rest of them. So yeah. All right, let's talk about Feng Mao and Kalari. Feng Mao and Kalari, I'm sitting them here just because I'm pulling them both up. I think they both feel really good. They feel like they're kind of like killing it in the jungle right now. I want to put them both A+. I'm not trying to stack A+, but A+ is just like kind of where I feel a lot of heroes are, honestly. And a part of me wants to pull Kalari down, but I'm not really sure. I think they have so much kill potential. They have so much potential to control a game that I'm feeling pretty good with this. And I don't think I'll probably put like maybe one more hero in this tier. And that's going to probably want to make me pull some things down to A. But honestly, the balance in Pred right now is feeling pretty solid, and I'm feeling pretty good about this one. Yeah, I actually might put more in A+ tier, because I really do think that this patch feels really good. I think that the balance of the game feels really good right now. And Kalari and Feng Mao both probably at the top of their game in jungle, where it feels like they have a lot of agency to take over and potentially snowball a game and really get a lot of control. Again, I have to throw more picks in here, which is kind of crazy to say. I think Rampage and Gideon are both still really strong. I don't know if I've ever had a tier that's gotten this big, but Gideon, just the king of mid lane. I think still the king of mid lane. His ultimate, it's the ultimate, right? Like until this character gets a nerf to its ultimate or a change to its ultimate where it doesn't bring that kind of presence to a team fight, it's that good. And it's the same thing as Richter essentially, right? Like he may not actually be the best mid laner in the laning phase. I don't really know lane matchups in mid that well, but he's hard to play into, and it sucks to have to play against him. And I think that Gideon's that strong. Now Rampage is just a solid jungler. I think that Rampage and Chimera feel like they're very on par with each other in the jungle for that kind of tanky with CC role. Rampage brings, I think, a little bit more presence in the early to mid game, where I think Chimera might actually outscale him a little bit because of his healing and his tankiness, which I'm not sure that's true, but it feels that way right now anyways. Rampage, super solid jungler, and I think that's where I'm probably going to cap off the A+ tier. Yeah, probably where I'm going to cap off the A+ tier. Steel, I think, is really strong, but it's like for the reasons that, like, say Richter is strong, you can scale him and be very, very good with him, but his jungle's a little slow, and I think that's exploitable. I think his offlane is kind of losing matchups for the majority of the matchups that he would play into. And for support, I think that there are just better options. I think there are options that you would rather have. So Steel feels really good to me. I like playing him. I think that he feels like he's strong and can bring a lot to a team. I just think he's like falling a little bit behind in the places that you can play him. That scaling him into that late game is not necessarily the best pick right now, but still really, really good. And yeah, I like that quite a bit. All right, let's talk about mid laners. I think Morgesh is really strong. She may be stronger than I'm giving her credit for. I haven't seen enough with her. I haven't watched scrims, so my tier list is really just like my solo queue perspective as of late. But she feels like she can do a lot. I definitely think you could offlane her too, but I don't know. I still think that she feels mostly like a mid to me personally. But she's annoying, man. She can poke. She's fast, and you can definitely get in her face and counter her with like fighters and assassins. People that are melee want to get on top of her and kind of like suffocate her a little bit, but she feels really, really strong to me. And yeah, Morgesh mid is rather annoying. Now this is where I get a little confused, because the rest of the mids, I just don't play them enough, and I'm not exactly sure how I feel about them. Most of them are feeling kind of like B tierish to me. Like they all feel solid, and then like I don't know, I still just think Gadget's always super strong, but it could be something like this. I don't really know about the mids. This is one of the ones where I'm gonna say like they're all good, right? They're gonna fit in this A to B tier somewhere somehow. So I'll probably just conservatively put them all in B tier, because I do think that Morgesh stands above most of these to me personally. Countess may even fall a little bit lower just because she really has to scale, but she has so much crazy potential to spike and pop off. But this is just kind of my current perspective on mid. Most of the mids feel like they do a lot of the same things, and it's just kind of like what flavor you want to bring to a team. I think Faye still has the problem of like it's just so easy to cleanse her. Chimera's strong in the meta, so like he kind of counters Faye because he can just cleanse out of her ults, and she's still really, really strong. Don't get me wrong, but I think that she feels a little countered by cleanse just in general. Gadget's still super annoying. She brings a lot of poke, and she can have a great presence in team fight. Howitzer, I don't really know my thoughts on him post nerf. I feel like I haven't played against a lot of Howitzers, so maybe that's indicative of the fact that like his pick rate is going down and people aren't playing him nearly as much as they used to. So I don't know how strong he is, and I know that Countess can still pop off, but they actually did nerf her too. So and it's always been a case of like she's got to scale and get to that crazy Countess position. She doesn't just get it for free. So some offlane potential picks here as well. Of course, you can play some of these characters in the offlane. I think that's great, but they all just feel pretty solid to me. That's just like where I'm at with it. Grux. Oh man, Grux. A part of me wants to put Grux in D tier, but here's the thing. Grux is like, I don't think he's very good in competitive and like more structured, like high elo play, but he's so good in like solo queue. Because you just get a lead, and then people don't like team play deal with you, and they don't kite you properly, and then you just kind of pop off and blow them up. It feels weird to put him here. I actually think that honestly he's probably better than Crunch. It's weird. I'm in such a weird position. I may not even use the D tier today because I'm in such a weird position where I actually think that the balance is pretty good, and like even like Shinbi being this low, it like feels disingenuous to how strong she is, because I do think she's still strong. and I'm mostly like thinking of her in like the jungle off lane role. So I do think that she can be really annoying and really strong. I don't know. And then like Muriel, Narbash, I think are both still solid. They're just not quite getting picked as much as the other supports. I think some of the support role is really being held down by, say, Decker, Bellica, maybe even Richter. I think that those three are just like really dominating the support role, or at least those are the ones that I would love to have on my team. And so Muriel, really good. Narbash, I think really good. They're more like what you want to bring to a team and maybe why you would pick them for yourself, or for your team comp. So there's definitely going to be like a team that wants to play, like, say, Narbash, and then they could have some success with that based on their comp. But I think just in general, inside the bubble of like a one hero bubble, maybe not the strongest. So this is my kind of current tier list. I'm not like, honestly, even I'm not like super sold on it, but it's, you know, the subjective view I have on the game right now. I'm not super sold on my own opinion. A part of me, like when I put Grux on the tier list, it makes me want to put Crunch down here. But I think that Crunch and Shinbi are on the same level, so maybe I do something like this. It's just weird. Like these characters down here, I think B, C, and who I would put in D, it feels weird. And maybe I should just drop the A+ tier and, you know, have like a giga huge A tier and kind of, or shift everything down, right? I don't know, because I'm not even using the D tier today. But this is kind of what I'm thinking. I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on like the mid heroes, because I think that maybe some of y'all who play mid a little bit more have some more thoughts about their matchups and who's good. But all the mids feel pretty evenly consistent to me. They feel pretty solid. And yeah, this is what I'm thinking. So friends, thank you so much for watching. Drop a like in the video, subscribe for future Predecessor content. As always, be sure to kind of one another. Tell some of you love them, and I'll see you in the next video.